Well, ladies and gentlemen, today I don't know that I need this because many years ago, having been a drill sergeant, I can usually project. But I'd like to bid the family of Captain Larry Dring and all guests and speakers a very warm welcome to the Monroe Wilson Post 88 of the American Legion here in Brevard, North Carolina. Today we'll hear the story of one of America's heroes of the Vietnam War. Captain Larry W. Dring, U.S. Army Infantry, Special Forces Green Beret. So without further ado, I'd like to bring over our adjutant, Master Sergeant Ray McCall, and he has a little story he'd like to share with you.
This is a story of an item that traveled halfway around the world and ended up in a forgotten garage awaiting its proper home. During the Vietnam War, there was one soldier, Captain Lawrence Dring, who seemed to have stood out amongst his peers and all American patriots. Larry was a captain in the Special Forces and worked with the Montagnards, who were indigenous natives throughout the highlands area of South Vietnam. Larry Dring received 5 Purple Hearts, 4 Bronze Stars, 2 Soldiers Medals, and 2 Silver Stars, among many other awards and decorations. A quote about Larry by Special Forces Master Sergeant Retired John A. Morrow went something like this: Larry was quite possible the most lethal soldier to ever wear the Green Beret. Larry, having served multiple combat tours in Vietnam, found himself between combat tours and stationed in Thailand. While there, he had a unique desk set made by a local Thai craftsman. A desk set is usually placed on the front area atop the desk and contained his name, rank, and branch, in this case, infantry. It is not known how the possession of the desk set passed through so many hands, but Sergeant Howard Thiel, the commander of the Transylvania Honor Guard, was approached by Magdalene Mayer, who asked if he could do anything to restore the desk set and possibly return it to the family of Larry Dring. The desk set was quite unique and a bit troublesome, though. On it were 2 elephant tusks and 2 hand-carved elephants, one of which was missing, and the remaining one is broken and beyond repair. The worst part of the whole project was the name, rank, and other pertinent information about Captain Lawrence Dring were all hand-cut letters spelling out all the information, but most of the letters were missing and unreadable. Mandolin received this desk set from a former Special Forces soldier named Stephen Lee Robertson, who came into its possession possibly when Larry was uprooted from his command and reassigned back to Vietnam. It is only a guess, but Stephen probably secured the desk set with the hope of one day returning it to Larry.
Madeline Meyer brought it to me and said, "Do you think you can do anything with this to fix it, repair it, restore it, or find the owner?" And at the time, there wasn't even a last name on it, and it was a bit of a challenge. I said, "I'll do what I can do." And basically, I put it in my garage like she had it in hers. And finally, one day in my garage, I was cleaning the garage. Some lights shined across the item, and I could see where the last name was just by phantom images on the wood. And then I had something to work with. I had the name. I was able to start doing some research.
One of the members of the Transylvania Honor Guard, Joe Smith, a local legendary woodworker, was enlisted to manufacture the missing letters and numerals. Joe made all the new letters, and they were carefully attached during the restoration process. A pair of Thai hand-carved elephants were located, real ivory toes and nails and tusks, and added to the piece. It was carefully and totally disassembled, thoroughly cleaned, restained, reassembled. The finished coat looked new, almost as if it had just been recently removed from Larry Dring's desk.
It was just a burning desire to get this back in the hands of the family.
It was learned that Larry died on the 25th of July, 1985, 1983, and was buried in the Veterans Cemetery in Beaufort, South Carolina. Thinking that his widow Rebecca may be living nearby, we searched all the records around Beaufort and Summerville for her or the sons, but without any luck. As a last resort, Sergeant Thiel approached a friend, Mike DeRocco, a retired Special Forces soldier, and asked if there was any way to locate the family. Mike suggested contacting the Special Forces Association in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Knowing that the veteran had passed, and then finding out through research that his son was active duty Army, and also finding out that the wife was no longer in South Carolina, which was their family home, but she had moved to North Carolina, and not only just North Carolina, but Asheville. So it was a little more impetus in getting this done and getting it back to the family.
Captain Larry Dring's daughter-in-law, Rhonda, called Sergeant Thiel. Winning the lottery couldn't have excited him more. Later that day, he spoke with Larry's son, Larry III.
I just think it's important that if you find something like this, at least where I'm concerned, it just needs to be at home with the family. He can no longer be there, but this is an item that once belonged to Larry Dring, and I just felt the Dring family should have it. So we spared no expense on supplies and materials to restore it to the condition that it would have been 50 years ago sitting on his desk.
So it is with great honor and respect that we, the Transylvania Honor Guard today, are able to honor the service of Lawrence Dring and to tell this story.
Many years ago, when I met someone, I had no idea this day would be the result. In the 1980s, I used to sell fudge at flea markets and gun shows on the weekend. I considered that my mental health break from my real job, which was working in a hospital. At events like these, we had the same vendors would always come every month. So usually during slow times, we would walk around and talk and see who everybody was and get to know people, and they became friends. One particular vendor sold military items, and my son was in the Air Force at the time, so I would always look for things I thought he might enjoy. This particular vendor was Stephen Lee Robertson, who had been in Special Forces and now had a shop in Spring Lake of military items. So one day, our conversations were always around family and life experiences and what goes on. And one time I mentioned that my dad was a woodworker and a carver. So later, another month or so passed, and this vendor brought a very special award made of wood that had broken pieces, and to see if my dad could fix it. Well, my dad was up in years at the time, and he looked at it and he said, "I just don't think I can do that." Well, as life happens, changes come in everyone's life, and that came in mine. The Greensboro Flea Market closed. I lost contact with Stephen Lee Robertson, but I still had this piece of wooden history that needed to be repaired and find home. I hoped that someday someone and I would cross paths, and that someone would understand the importance of this lost work of art. Okay, fast forward to 2013, here in Brevard, where my husband and I have become friends with a couple that had strong military ties. Now, when a person answers to Sarge, you think he knows something about the military. Well, they were at our house one night, and I started asking questions about Special Forces and military, this and that, and Then I said, I would like to show you something. Oh, did I mention that Sarge fixes things? Well, I retrieved this lopsided box and showed the broken treasure to Sarge. His eyes were dancing. In fact, he was almost dancing. He said, yeah, I think I can fix this. Well, not only did he fix this, he researched, he got all of his buddies together, and they learned about this very, very special person, this hero, and the family that we here honor today. Thank you, Sarge. And now this journey is complete.
Oh,
Madam,
that is
on
beautiful.
behalf of the Transylvania County Honor Guard, who is here today, and members of the Honor Guard, Madam Myers here, took this project, and now they feel good that it's going to its rightful home.
Well, thank you so much. This is just beautiful.
I'm glad it's there.
You know, I had no idea that this even existed because, you know, when he was in Thailand, he was actually spent a lot of time in Cambodia, and he had been captured and left for dead, and 2 Chinese found him and brought him back to safety. And because I was in church one Sunday and I had this urge to pray, and it stayed with me, and later on I found out that that was the exact time he had been captured. And so I'm really thankful. Thank you so much.
Army colors, move! Present, move!
Larry was an outstanding person, an outstanding soldier. And if there's ever 2 words I could think of that would describe him best, and that would be courageous and compassionate.
It was just a mission that once I got started on it, I couldn't turn it loose.
As I had no idea this even existed, but he would be very pleased that it was taken care of and beautifully restored, and that his son has it. And I know if he was living, he'd be just as proud of his son, who's a lieutenant colonel in the service.
It means a whole lot. Here's something we thought was gone forever, and to see what these guys did and to see the before pictures, it's amazing. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
To the dedication these guys had, to continuing to help serve their fellow man, their fellow soldier, it's just speechless. I mean, there's a special bond between service members, and like I said, I'm just stunned. When I got the email, and when I found out it would be done and I was coming down, I live in Detroit, so for me to come to find out about this is really great, and what they've done is just amazing.